Yes, 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 it is a Cast Worthy podcast, and we are back. I
Back.
am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed on the X Machine, formerly
That's
known
definitely him.
as Twitter. Joined today by EJ, who was on time, going on 3 weeks in a row, and VP, who was 1 hour late. Let's make sure we notate that 1 hour late. We must dock his pay.
That is complete
1 hour
bullshit.
late.
You sent
And
the link at 9:36.
because I was prepping you from 8:50. 8:50. It is what's today? April 28th.
Says
April
April 20th,
28th.
Sunday, April 28th, 2024, the year of our Lord.
Sunday, April 28th, and we're about 5-6 months away from a new president.
Year of our Lord, future.
Whoa, watch him out.
Future Hendrix.
Y'all better stop disrespecting the Lord Jesus himself. VP, how you doing, sir?
I'm hanging in there, man.
Give us a recap of prom night. Tell us what you heard.
Oh, no, I mean, it was nothing more than what I said on day of. He was
Okay.
he just went, had fun, did some dancing, came home. Nothing to write home about.
They do the cha-cha slide?
I don't know. I don't think he knows how to dance, so probably not. I think for him, like, dancing was kind of like more like on the floor, just kind of.
Oh, okay. He's a wallflower?
Yeah.
That's me too.
Dad.
That's me
Dad
too.
has no rhythm.
I was like that for a long time. And then I got to feel young ladies rubbing up on me, and I was like, "Oh, that's what this is." All right, here we go. Time to change things up a little bit. All right. Well, he told you his version of the story. My version of the story is probably a lot more animated. EJ, how are you, sir? Are you
Yes.
Are you still in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, it must be climate change because it's not quite getting warm just yet. Not to where we would expect at this point of the year. So
it's 80 here. It's gonna be 80 here today.
Oh,
it's
okay.
warm enough already. I sent out.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all saw. I sent in the chat last week that the Hurricane Center was like watching a storm. They said it wasn't gonna form, but like we don't even get like stuff we're watching this early normally. So
they're saying this year they expect it to be a heavy. Isn't it like El Nino and El Nina this year? Some wild ass shit they were talking about.
I don't know, but
Well, they said they're predicting a very heavy hurricane season. Hopefully not. You know what they're predicting is they're coming off of the Gulf, which is the ones that really suck because that water is warm and it holds steam. But let's hope for the best and fuck all the rest. You know what I'm saying? I'm a poet and didn't know it. I'll be spitting. Y'all shits is written. EJ, so tell me about your weekend, man. Tell me about your weekend. I know it's a big weekend for you because you are a huge college football fan. So ISO on you to give us a recap of who your sleepers or who surprised you in the draft this past weekend or this weekend.
Well, I think the shocker everyone could talk about, and VP is gonna have something to say about this. Atlanta Falcons taking Michael Penix. You know, that early number one when he was projected to go second and maybe third round in some mocks, and you just took and paid for Kirk Cousins all that money, and you didn't want to get Lamar Jackson, who was a proven guy, who could have given you some years, given you some youth, giving you some excitement. That was a shocker, indeed a shocker. You know, Cardinals take the best receiver in the league, Marvin Harrison Jr. Question is, who's going to be throwing him the ball? You know, some old linemen went, and this class on paper look to be very talented, but once you see the first round shake out, you kind of scratch your head and kind of figure out what teams are doing, that kind of wondering what they're doing. And I think a lot of teams this year added some guys, but I don't know that many guys in this draft are going to stand out as the first rounders as we think they are. Um, it was somebody else that I was thinking about. I forgot. I was surprised. Buffalo trade with Kansas City,
Yeah.
team that's been kicking your ass out of the playoffs last up 10 years, and you trade to help these guys. Don't get it.
And not only that, let's not forget, it's lost on a lot of people that Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, knocking Buffalo out of the playoffs year after year because of Buffalo. When they traded up to get Mahomes, that trade was with Buffalo. So, so you think they have a little bit of a Bills trade like PTSD? Andy Reid called and they're like, "Yo, fuck that, hang up the phone." So,
Yo,
but here we are.
the Atlanta Falcons are fucking imbeciles. I mean, there's no surprise that they went ahead and picked a second person at a skill position. They've been doing this shit forever. They're the ones that had Roddy White and went out and got Julio Jones. And I know when you can have three starting wide receivers on 90% of your plays, that makes sense. But they're also the same team that had Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman fighting for backfield work. They're the same team that had Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson running fighting for backfield work. These assholes have no idea. They're the same ones who had Kyle Pitts and decided they were going to go out and get Jonnu Smith at tight end. These are just, I don't get the Falcons. It makes no sense. Like they just feel like they need to have redundancy at skill positions, and it makes no fucking sense. So now you bring in Kirk Cousins, and maybe he's not right, because he had an Achilles tear week 8 last week. But maybe he's not back, but I don't get it. That's a high draft pick to waste, in my opinion. Not waste, but to use on that.
So on Cousins, I think that he likely will be back by the time the season starts because, like you said, it was week 8. Jalen Phillips for the Dolphins tore his Achilles in that Black Friday game against the Jets, which was like week 11, I want to say, something like that. And they're saying that he should be ready by the beginning of the season. He's showing up to do off-season work already. I don't know how much work, but we'll see. So I'm assuming Kirk Cousins should be ahead of that. I mean, we got to factor in Jalen Phillips is like 24 and Kirk Cousins is almost 40. That age definitely plays a factor in recovery.
Right.
So but with the Falcons, man, like it's one thing, like you look at the Cowboys, right? They already got Amari Cooper. They're like, holy shit, CeeDee Lamb's available. Let's go get him. And you kind of got your present and you set up for your future. Amari Cooper is going to become expensive, and now we've already drafted his replacement. Waddle and Tyreek, T Higgins and Chase, even though I would say to a lesser extent because both of them are really young,
Mm-hmm.
But you don't do that with quarterbacks because that's the most expensive position that you pay. And it's almost like Atlanta is trying to have its cake and eat it too, because they're saying, oh, we're setting up our present and our future at the same time, right? But something that, I know Steve hates this guy, something that Nick Wright says that I think is absolutely true is the cheat code to winning in the NFL is having your quarterback on a cheap rookie deal. And they now have their quarterback on a cheap rookie deal, while they also have their quarterback on a super expensive veteran $100 million guaranteed contract over the next 4 years. That makes no sense because how are you paying those key pieces that you're trying to put around in order to be competitive?
Yeah, Atlanta's play here would have been to trade back, trade out of the position, and acquire more picks. Again, this draft, when you look at the first round, you really got to know what you're looking at and what teams really need, right? So we had 3 quarterbacks come off the first 3 picks to teams that arguably needed it. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes number 4 to Arizona. Again, who's throwing them the ball? Los Angeles, rather. Smart. Take one of the highest ranked offensive tackles in Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Malik Neighbors goes to the Giants. You got quarterback controversy. Let's get him another weapon. J.C. Latham, Tennessee. They go get their tackle of the future. I thought he was the best ready now offensive tackle in the draft today. J.C. Latham is the naturally strongest guy. He's a bruiser. He could probably play guard, tackle. Alabama. He's seen it all at Alabama. And then Michael Penix comes off. But then you have Roma Dunze, who goes to the Bears. So you get Caleb Williams a target. And I just think Atlanta at that point need defense. They have offense. They have potential offense. This was a draft for them to trade out of this pick, get some more picks, go get some of those corners and those safeties that came off early, and they totally whiffed at it, man. And I think they were snorting some coke down there in Atlanta today.
Now, EJ, what I will say, right, to just, I don't even want to say to push back on what you just said, but just kind of to add some perspective to it, right? I think a lot of us as fans think that it's easy to trade back, right? Because, you know, there's two parties to a trade, right? And both people have to get something out of it, you know? And so it's possible that Atlanta wanted to trade back and they couldn't find a partner that was willing to give them what they wanted in order to be able to move up to that pick at number 8, right? But even with that said, if you can't find a partner, why'd you take a quarterback? That's the part that still makes, regardless if you could have traded back or not, the pick itself still makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, again, you got to really question how they view their team, because Michael Penix is a project. All these quarterbacks, you know, outside of the ones that are being asked to start right away, they're going to be projects. And again, I always go back to this point that Andrew Luck and RG3 ruined the league. Their rookie success has really, quarterbacks have always been taken high, right? But their success early, I think, has really brainwashed teams, because a lot of these kids are not ready to play right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look in Atlanta, I think they really think their roster is better than it is. And it could be right to some degree, you know, because I felt like their team is just a defensive player away. But, and to your point, it could be very hard. But you got the 8th pick. All you really need is a pick swap, maybe a third rounder. That's it. So, I mean, I don't know, man. They think they got something down there. I don't know.
Even if you parlay it into futures, like you can get a later pick in this draft. Even if you drop all the way to the early second, but then get a shitload in 2025. You know what I'm saying? Or 2026 or whatever that looks like, right? But now the only alternative thinking to that is, maybe, to your point, VP, they couldn't find a trade suitor and they were like, well, let's take the best guy on the board as far as our board, right? Our personal board, and hope that maybe somebody has a need, right? Maybe this guy shows flashes in in preseason, and if Kirk Cousins is working out, great. If Kirk Cousins isn't working out, we'll give him a shot. If Kirk Cousins is working out and he shows flashes, then maybe someone has an injury like the Jets. Maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't quite get back, and maybe we talk to them. Maybe Oakland or Las Vegas, rather, might need something, need a quarter. Well, they do need a quarterback. Maybe we get with them if they have a need, and we just work on a deal later in the season because we couldn't find somebody right now. That's the only other thing that makes any type of sense to me, because they did shore up their safety position last year. They could have probably picked a cornerback if they were, if you just want to be safe. Cornerback is always safe.
A pass rusher.
Or pass rusher. Pass rusher is safe. Now, the only thing is, when you talk about value, right? Like, am I going to go buy, the most expensive? Am I going to go spend $50,000 on a Kia just because that's the cost, or am I going to take that $50,000 and go buy a Lexus, right? Like, and so at pass rusher at 8 overall, if you don't have an absolute dead to right stud there, I don't know that I waste that pick on that if I'm stuck without being able to trade back personally.
Right. And
yeah. And that's what I said about this first round. When you look at this first round, this is probably one of the more offensive heavy first rounds we've seen. One of the first edge guys that comes off
Also, shout out to Kia.
is Latu from
I've been looking at
UCLA.
him. Pause.
Is Latu from UCLA, who's a edge rush, speed, 3-4 linebacker type suited guy. He goes to
Went to
Indianapolis.
Indy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Indy at 15.
And the next one after that is Jared Verse from Florida State. Then Chop Robinson from Penn State. So you only got 3 edge guys in the first round total. And none of those guys jump off the map for me.
Yeah.
And
it was the same.
Fire though. Yeah.
It was the same thing for let me just say something real quick before I piggyback on EJ's point. So kind of what Steve was saying. The reason that makes me think that the moving back part might have been hard was that until Atlanta, the draft was going pretty much as predicted, and so teams may not have felt the need to move up because they're like, yo, like these picks are going off the board exactly the way we thought, and so our guy is probably going to be there when we when it's our turn. Atlanta throws a grenade into the first round, and then all of a sudden you see Minnesota like, yo, we got to move up. We can't fuck around no more. And they move from, I think they were like 18, something like that, out of that, like late teens, something, move up to 10 and take shit, I don't have his name. JJ McCarthy. So and then we see Bo Nix go to Denver, and so I think that Michael Penix Jr. pick kind of screwed things up, and then you start seeing teams, start getting jiggy or whatever. And so I think that might have been a hard thing for them to do as far as trades are concerned. With us, EJ, to your point about Chop Robinson, I like Chop Robinson, but I felt like the Dolphins should have tried to trade back if it was possible. And he might have still been available if we moved back to like late first and like picked up a third, because we didn't have a third round pick this year, and we probably still could have got him as well as adding a third round pick. But they said they liked him where he was at. They had him high on their board, so they took him. So we're the thing for us as fans. We want what we want. We think we know what the team's needs are and stuff like that. We're not in those war rooms. We don't know what the decision thinking. What the thinking is behind the decision making. I know we all see Atlanta's decision making doesn't make sense to anybody. You literally see the GM trying to explain it to the owner, because he probably like, yo, why did I just cut this $100 million check to Kirk Cousins that we drafted this guy?
Right.
So so we'll see, man. But overall, I liked our draft. A couple of question marks for me as far as things I don't understand, like the receiver that we took. But overall, I think we had a good draft. We also got very good value for the picks that we made.
Who would y'all take as the receiver? What round?
It was in the 6th round, and we took I think his name is Washington.
6th round don't count. 6th round don't count.
What round or what pick number was Marvin
Harrison Jr.?
3. I mean, I'm sorry, 4.
4. Okay, I got you.
I'm biggest mystery for me,
the receiver we took was 6, EJ. Malik Washington out of Virginia. And then we took another receiver in the 7th. I get that that's depth and stuff like that, but at 6, where we picked that at 6, there were still some guys available, like on the defensive side, some linebackers, some corners, etc. And to take a receiver on a team that they're returning 5 receivers from last year, and we probably could have added receivers in the undrafted free agent pool as well as in the free agent market.
That's basically what it is. I mean, because everybody can't keep these guys on the roster, so it's all competition. It's all camp bodies. It's all preseason bodies at that point. The biggest shocker to me was Brendan Rice, the son of Jerry Rice, going in the 7th round to the Los Angeles Chargers. I really need to know what's wrong with this kid. I need to know what's wrong with this kid. Caleb, usually when you see a quarterback go as early as he did in Caleb Williams, this is Caleb Williams' #1 target. This kid is 6'3", 200 pounds, can play any position X, Y. anything you want on the field. Vertical, he goes and gets it. He does it all. And he went in the 7th round. I don't get it.
You know
I
what it
don't
is,
get it.
EJ? You know what it is? The teams will tell you what I'm about to say is an absolute lie, right?
Right.
These teams are influenced by media hype. And I feel like the Bears have allowed themselves to be fooled by ESPN and Fox Sports telling us that Caleb Williams is like the next coming of Tom Brady. And it's him that's making these receivers good. It's not them. It's not that they're talented. He's throwing them open and he's throwing these precision passes, and these guys are eating off of his greatness. You know what I mean? And so
Not
it's
in
almost like
college,
EJ.
though.
No,
Not in
Steve, but here's
college.
the thing, though, right? EJ, it's the reverse Ken Dorsey. Remember Ken Dorsey, UM? People are like, yo, this dude was a Heisman candidate, national champion. How did he go in the 7th round? People are like, oh, he wasn't really that good. It was those receivers, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think
I hear you, and I believe that is true. I just don't understand. This guy was at the Senior Bowl, and that's really when you get to see how good these kids are. And he's making I don't get it. The 7th round, I don't know. I don't know. I think it has something to do with maybe his pops, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe they did the Manning shit. Like,
Yeah,
I
I don't
know
know.
y'all looking at him. Don't touch him. We got one place we want him to play. You know what I'm saying? And who knows, right? Or 2 places we want to play. And if anyone else take him, he not showing up. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I will say, I hate that Marvin Harrison went at 4 to that team. Hopefully they don't waste his talent. But what I was thinking is, if I'm I still don't I don't care what anybody says. Justin Fields, keeping him and parlaying that number 1 overall pick into a bunch of other stuff is still the better decision from a GM standpoint in my mind. Even if you take the 1 and you move back to where you can get like Marvin Harrison, and now you got Justin Fields, Marvin Harrison, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, like you would have an absolute stud, and then their tight end, I forget the guy's name. You'd have an absolute stud of a squad, and then now maybe you've traded back into the 2nd round and maybe get a running back there because they needed that. Like the Bears, I really feel like they forced themselves into Caleb Williams. And if for some reason this kid doesn't turn out to be a generational talent, it's going to be the biggest bust, the biggest mishandling of draft picks that we've ever seen in the NFL, in my opinion.
you're right, and I honestly don't think he's a good quarterback. I've watched him play, and the kid holds the ball for 10,000 years. He does all this scramble shit out of the pocket, and in the NFL, it's not going to translate. It is
And
not going to
you don't know
translate.
how to shave. You see his beard? You show up to the draft and your beard. Come on, dog. How you not? You the number 1 through 3 pick, and you not the cleanest. Like you got to come on, dog. I'm sorry, man. I know I'm shallow, but
Yeah,
I mean, I have to assume that a draft like that was intentional because everything is intentional. To watch the all the drip,
the fingernails.
shoes,
maybe he
So
wanted to look like a fucking
yeah,
vampire.
I have to assume that beard thing was intentional.
Yeah,
Look like shit.
I don't think the kid is good. I mean, he's got an arm and all of that good stuff, but I don't think I didn't see none at USC, man. I mean, and not to mention USC quarterbacks don't have the best historical lineage in the
That's
NFL,
true
right?
too.
That's
Um,
true.
and again, I watched him play. Again, you see Brendan Rice. I mean, they've got highlights where Brendan Rice is running wide open, cross the field, cross the field, cross the field, and then he stops and he finds the open zone. And Caleb Williams is I mean, this kid holds the ball and he scrambles around. He does all of this. He's playing backyard football, and you love to say that's moxie and it looks cool, but it ain't gonna translate in the next level,
But you
man.
had that. You had that. Like, if I'm the Bears, I already have that in
Yeah,
Justin Fields. Like, you just
yeah,
have to get
yeah.
somebody to come in and teach this guy to make his reads before looking for the hole to run, which is the same thing that had to happen with Lamar Jackson. The same thing had to happen with Russell Wilson. The same thing had to, I mean, a lot of these guys, granted, Russell Wilson came out and hit the ground running, but he was a running quarterback who turned into, like VP always says, a quarterback that can run versus a running quarterback. Kyler Murray, a running quarterback. He hasn't learned that yet, right? You see this guy, he'll make a play, but it seems like there was one season where he was looking for his reads and now he's forgotten how to do that. I don't feel like they gave Justin Fields his just due, because when he did come back, this nigga's running for 125 yards a game. Like, you got a quarterback running for 125 with ease, and it's not even like he's struggling to do it, and he could bounce up and still go out there and play quarterback at a very high level. Like, I don't get how you think this was the decision and what they got back in return. Like, they traded him for a gobstopper and, 2 now laters, but they had to be banana. Like, it was crazy what they got back from Pittsburgh for him.
So I think that, what it might be with Chicago, like, I think you have to look a little bit deeper than just Justin Fields, right? And remember, for Chicago, their GM is a guy named Ryan Poles, right? And Ryan Poles, you probably name nobody's ever heard of, or at least knows who he is a guy who comes from the Kansas City scouting department, works his way up to, like, assistant GM or something like that. And then Chicago hires him in 2022.
Like Eric Spoelstra.
He was a former player. He played for the Bears, but but still, so they probably bring him in thinking he's going to bring that Kansas City magic eye where they can just spot this talent, and they go get Fields. And then, I'm assuming that him and the coach are thinking, yeah, this shit ain't working. And they're using that magic eye again. And they've now landed it on Caleb Williams. We'll see what happens. But I think he's a bit overrated myself. I mean, I hope he does well. I root for these kids in general, but, like, especially the black quarterbacks, like,
and that's the thing. You even say it's a black quarterback thing, because like at first I'm like, all right, they don't want a black quarterback, and then I'm like, well, they wouldn't got another black quarterback, so it ain't that.
Yeah.
At least we can cross that off, for Chicago. Yeah. So shout out to them. But, like, Justin Fields, I'm looking at his stats real quick. And from a rushing standpoint, we'll say 3 years, 2021, he had 420 yards, 2022, 1,143 yards in 15 games, 2023, 657 yards in 13 games. He's got 14 rushing touchdowns over that span. Passing as a quarterback, 21, rookie year, 1,870, 22, 2242 in 15 games, 2023, 2562 with 16 touchdowns, 23, 17 passing touchdowns, and 22. Like, I don't understand how someone can sit here and try to tell me that this kid is not making plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had 10 interceptions, 21, 11 interceptions, 22, and 9 interceptions in 23. But if the interceptions are going down, the yards are going up, his completion percentage has gone up every year since he's been in the league. Like, I don't get it. They lost me. They completely lost me.
Wait,
Fields
came in 21?
21. Mm-hmm.
There it is right there then. I just told you, Poles became the GM in 22. And, a lot of GMs come in like, yo, I didn't hire this coach. I didn't hire that. I didn't get that quarterback, because your future is tied to the quarterback, right? His success is your success. You know what I mean?
But
so that might be your answer right there.
This is a guy that was number 10 overall in MVP voting in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trading this guy away, or like for nothing, and saying this isn't. And I get it. I'm with you. I feel you when you say, like, this guy comes in and says this isn't the team that I built, so let me bring in my guys, because if I'm gonna lose my job, it's gonna be on my decision, not on somebody else's. But, dog, like, this could be a bad decision. This could be a really bad. Now, I give them credit. They built the team up as far as, offense goes. They built the team up before Caleb got there, but you could have done this for Justin Fields and done better in the draft. Like they brought in Keenan Allen, which I thought that's a great pickup for a veteran receiver. They already had DJ Moore. They brought in the running back from Philly that was with the Lions. I can't remember his name right now off the top of my head.
DeAndre
Swift, yeah. So they built around that offense, and they made it a quarterback friendly offense right now. So Caleb is going to come in, I think, and he should be successful with those pieces. And then people are gonna be like, "See, Justin Fields wasn't that guy," and I just don't feel like that's fair to that kid.
Well, again, the reality is the point, Steve. At some point, a team has to realize we need to work with a guy, go through the bumps and the bruises, and ensure that he becomes the talent we believed he can. You got rid of Fields, who, as a quarterback in college, was as decorated as anyone else, got all the physical tools, showed you the experience. He had the NFL chops. You guys didn't have shit for him last year. Now you went and got all these pieces. You just took Rome Odunze, one of the number 2 receiver in the game, and you go get Caleb Williams. So now all you're doing is recreating the same potential thing you just got rid of this kid for. And I get it, he's not your guy, but when are you ever going to nurture a quarterback? So now they're going to look in Chicago, and all the success is going to ride on this rookie, whether he's good or not. That's it. Everything is there.
And the thing I also don't understand, like looking at Chicago, right? Like, okay, you got rid of Fields. You everybody could see, unless you were blind, that they were drafting Caleb Williams, right? So you go out and you get, you add my guy from the Chargers,
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. You go add Keenan Allen. You draft the wide receiver, at number 9. You start making all these moves, right? And then in the draft, in the 4th round, where you can get major value in the 4th round, you take a punter. Like, they don't make any sense to me. It's like, what are we doing here?
I'm telling
you need to be trying to put as much talent on this team as possible to give this kid success. And I get that special teams plays a big role in football,
not the 4th round big role, dog.
Not the 4th round in the middle of a rebuild. Like that don't make no sense.
This dude better be able to kick the ball clear across Chicago, yo. Like with 100% accuracy. You better be able to drop it on a dime.
Like every kick needs to land on the 1-yard line and then immediately go out of bounds.
Coffin corner immediately. Like it just makes, dog, I don't know what Chicago. And not only that, but if you was gonna take a young wide receiver, you already had DJ Moore. Why did you go scoop up that Keenan Allen contract? That's a big contract, dog. Like I don't.
But to be fair, the contract, because I remember seeing a breakdown. I think it is team friendly on the back end, but to your point, you're paid for a dude who barely is ever healthy. Keenan Allen, the biggest knock with Keenan Allen, and Steve, you've taken him in fantasy drafts for I don't know how many years, and the biggest knock on him is he's never healthy. He never plays.
Now he's actually doing all right. He played. You might be right. You might be right. He did 13 games in 23. He started 10 in 22, 16 in 21, 13 in 2020, 16 and 19. But yeah, you're right. He's always playing banged up, pause. And yeah, I like him. I love Keenan Allen. I think he's a really good wide receiver, but he's also 32 years old. He's a big contract, and you picked a fucking wide receiver as a top 10 pick.
The contract is not really a problem for me. I just pulled up the contract, and there's actually only one more year left on it, which is this upcoming season.
That's what I said, it's team friendly.
Yeah, so like it's not team friendly in terms of numbers. He has a $23 million cap hit, but we're talking about a 1-year deal. You got your quarterback on a rookie
get it off
contract,
the books.
right? And so and then we also don't know what the Justin Fields situation was. Did they trade him and Pittsburgh took the whole contract? Are they still paying some of the contract? So the
The
contract
field
for
was
Keenan
on a
Allen,
rookie deal.
yeah, but sometimes with trades, like the money is included. Whereas it was my understanding that Green Bay was still paying a portion of Aaron Rodgers' salary, which
Oh,
is
they
why
paid
he
a
was
fuck
willing
ton of
to.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paid a fuck ton of it.
it's usually the guaranteed money or the penalty that
Yeah.
they scoop up. But
So, but
the
yeah,
Bears,
but given that it's almost like the same, not almost, it's basically Stephon Diggs going to the Texans, right? They are,
Except except Stephon Diggs is much more
oh, no
effective
doubt.
as a receiver.
debatable.
He
He was
plays more than Keenan Allen, I'll tell you that.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He probably does play more than him, but like the tail end of this past season, boy.
I'll tell you who had a sneaky good draft though. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah,
They were getting some solid guys. They got some late picks, getting depth. Listen, they got Jordan Love. They got everything that they want out there.
they got
That
3 good young wide receivers.
Yeah, and they got homegrown talent. They're doing what they do. Green Bay believes in their draft picks, and they showed that again this year. They had a sneaky good draft. So I mean, that NFC North is, you're looking at a division where the Lions made the playoffs. The Bears are the Bears, and Green Bay was knocking at the door, and then you got Minnesota. So Green Bay
Bay
Green Bay had a
made the
lot of
playoffs.
picks.
Green Bay
some
made the
time.
playoffs. Yeah, because they traded away all their players. They traded away Aaron Rodgers. They traded away Aaron Jones. They traded away a lot of their fucking players. And AJ, didn't they get rid of AJ Dillon? They got rid of AJ Dillon too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Jordan Morgan, first round, who I thought, and this was an offensive line heavy draft, man. Like, there's some good guys out there. I think he's another project, but he's one of those guys. They losing David Bakhtiari, free agency, who was hurt anyway most of the time for them. So you got a guy that you can kind of bring in to replace him to kind of learn, and I think that was a hell of a move for them. Hell of a move.
They should get some value out of their draft too if these guys pan out. Because you look like that's why I keep bringing up how many picks they had. They had 6 picks in the first 4 rounds.
Yep.
One a first, Cooper, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and a 4th.
They took Edrin Cooper from Texas A&M, another linebacker that he's going to be like a Demario Davis type guys, sideline to sideline, explosive. I mean, I like what they did. I was quietly watching them. I like what they did. And they also took Javon Bullard, kid from Georgia, another hard hitter. Yeah, they went and got some defense. They got some defense.
I'm not sold on Georgia players after I got Georgia PTSD. 2 years ago we drafted that guy, Robert Tyndall, linebacker out of Georgia on the national championship team, and he don't even play. He first round pick, only plays special teams.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Me and TJ were talking, and he was like, "Oh, that guy's gonna be in the first round. He should be good." And I was like,
"You drafting the first Michigan players, fucking Mozzie Smith."
Right. I told him, I was like, "You drafting the first round based off potential, but the guys, they still got to do what they got to do." And I was like, "You look at our team, the Dolphins: Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Andrew Van Ginkel, Jerome Baker. We had another guy. I think his name was Cameron Good or something like that, who was a backup linebacker." Down. All these guys went down, and we got Robert Tyndall, who we took in the first round 2 years ago on our team. And you know what they did? They went and got Melvin Ingram off the street.
Is that
the guy who's been in your building for 2 years, you lost 5 linebackers, and you went and got somebody off the street instead of putting him in the game. That's how much of a liability you think he is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's Miami for you. They just want fast people that beat babies. Wow. Speaking of Miami, the Miami Heat are 2-1 in the series. They had a rough game yesterday against
No,
Boston.
that's not true. It wasn't rough. That shit was atrocious. I was disappointed in this team, yo. Like I've been all 10 toes down saying if you beat the Heat, you might have more talent. You're not gonna out effort us. And these guys were playing sloppy, no effort, no close. Yo, you had Bam and Jokic in the paint, and Derek White getting
Jovic.
offensive rebounds, or Jovic in the paint, and you had Derek White getting an offensive rebound in the paint over these two guys. Like, how does that happen?
Oh, that's that
You,
bald head strength.
it's
I mean,
just
LeBron got the receding hairline. Look, he be doing it. Derek White got the receding hairline.
I did not like what I saw.
Y'all just, I
Yesterday.
mean, y'all are probably one coach away from being a good team, like one head coach.
Yo, this dude don't let up, yo. This
Yeah.
dude don't let up. Hey, listen, y'all. Before the series, I was sitting here telling you that, hey, I think if any team could beat Boston, it's Miami. But he was like, nah, it's no chance. Jimmy's down, no chance. We're done. We're done. Here
Well, it
we
was the
are.
great Duncan Robinson didn't play yesterday.
Now he
That's what
came in.
happened.
He didn't do shit.
Oh, he played?
Yeah.
Oh,
For us, I keep saying like injuries have killed us, man. Like Jimmy's out, Terry Rozier's out with a neck injury, and
okay.
then we got
No shots yesterday.
we got this kid DeLon Wright, who is not no star nothing, but he's been giving us very productive minutes. Played
He's
very
good.
well in game 2, and then he was out game 3 for a personal family matter. So it's like, God damn it, yo! Even when he's not injured, when players aren't injured, we can't have them. So
I like him. He came from the Wizards, right? Didn't he come from the Wizards?
yeah.
If it's what I'm thinking is, I like him. He's gonna be. I think he'll be good for y'all. I mean, he's 32, but and he doesn't have much time left. But I think he'll be good for y'all in this series.
So
Yeah, I mean, y'all should have.
But y'all
Y'all should
running
have
on
played better
Patty
yesterday.
Mills. Y'all running on Patty Mills. Kevin Love. Like you can have some high expectations, but your high expectations are against an absolute stud of a team. Like these guys shouldn't even be close. They should be like, you guys probably should have not won game 2. This should be a sweep series. So any effort that you guys do get, any wins that you do get without Jimmy Butler, without Terry Rozier, um, it's bonus. You know what I mean?
I
And
mean,
it makes Boston look bad because that team is fucking stacked, yo.
I thought it would be a sweep. So, I'm glad that we did, keep it respectable and got a game, right? But one of the things that they said Spo told the guys in game 2, after game 1, it was like, yo, there's too much hesitation. If you got the shot, take it, And in game 2, you saw guys just letting it go. Even Shaq was talking about that, saying, yo, you got a coach telling you to shoot it, you're letting it fly, you can get in rhythm, et cetera, et cetera. And then in game 3, we had guys who were just passing up open shots. Oh, I got an open shot. Let me kick it to Tyler. Oh, I got an open shot. Let me kick it to Jaime, instead of just taking the shot. And I think that's part of the reason why Patty Mills came in, because we don't really play Patty Mills that much. And one thing that Patty Mills is going to do is let that bitch fly. And he came in and immediately started jacking up threes.
Your boy Spoelstra played. I mean, for the ass whooping that you guys were getting, these guys shouldn't have had that many minutes. You had Jaime play 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Jovic played 33 minutes. Bam played 39 minutes. Caleb 37, almost 38. Tyler Hero 33. Highsmith 32. And then your highest after that is Patty Mills at 12, and then it drops to 7-3-5-2. Like, when you're getting your ass handed to you like that, I think that's a good time to let your guys rest.
I said the same thing. I think if I'm gonna shoot Spo any bell, the thing that I think may have been happening was that, because it was like 7.5 left in the 4th, and I literally said when we was watching here, like, yo, Spo need to get these guys out the game. And maybe he was, because at that point I think we were down, I want to say 22-24. Maybe he was thinking, 2-3 minutes, you can go on a 12-0 run, and now you got a chance to win this thing, which is kind of what happened in game 1. And then
Not without
Boston
Duncan
just put their foot.
Robinson.
they just put their foot back on the gas, right? And so I think that's what he was thinking, and that run never came. And then he finally took the guys out, like, 2-3 minutes left in the game. He took the starters out. So, but I think he should have took them out a lot earlier.
Cool. Well, still along the lines of the Eastern Conference before we get into the games today and EJ's New York Knicks tape, the Orlando Magic protected home court. Cleveland beat them up for 2 games, games 1 and game 2. Game 3, Orlando beat up on Cleveland pretty bad. And then yesterday, Cleveland was up at the half, and I thought that game was over. They were up far. They were up like, I think it was like 14, 16
yeah,
at
it
the
was
half.
like 12, 14 points. I was
And
like,
then they
this is
got
over.
outscored 37-10 in the third quarter, and then Orlando never looked back, and they won 112-19. Orlando was surprising me. I mean, because we've said for years Cleveland has this team on paper that looks really, really good, but it just seems like since Spider went there that what's his face? What's the other guard's name? Darius Garland has decided he doesn't know how to play basketball anymore because he was a really good player prior to Donovan Mitchell getting there. So you got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley who's doing their things, they're grabbing boards, but I think in the second half there was there was an adjustment, from the coach, and he got some guys in there that were able to bang down in the paint, pause, and series is tied 2-2. I don't know how confident I am that the Magic win this. Is it I'm trying to remember, is it 2-3-2 or is it 2-2-1-1-1?
It's always 2-3-2.
Okay. So there's going to be one more here in Orlando, and it's very possible that if they can, they can go ahead and keep, they win the next game and go up 3-2, and they can steal one on the road as well and maybe steal this series at the 5 seed.
Or correction, the first 2 rounds are 2-3-2, and then the finals are 2-2-1-1-1.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm interested in watching it. Shout out to the Magic because I thought after those first 2 games it was a wrap. But they're holding strong at 2-2. They got some young guys. Who would have thought Markelle Fultz would be the guy that's willing these guys to win? I mean, sure, he only had 12 points, but he's the veteran. Like Markelle Fultz, this is the guy. 1 year, the number 1 overall pick for Philly, that had no confidence, couldn't shoot the ball, is the veteran on our team. That's crazy.
Great comeback story for him.
Yeah, and this we said this last week, and I'm gonna say it again though. If Boston doesn't make the finals, like, this team is done. Everybody got to get fired. You got to consider trading everybody because like the East is just so beat down with all these injuries and stuff like that, and even like to the point of what me and Steve were saying, where we thought the series with the Heat should be a sweep, right? You prolong this series, anything can happen. Somebody can step on a foot and roll an ankle.
Yep.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then that changes everything because you're fucking around in these series or whatever. So,
and hopefully not to jinx Tatum, but he's been healthy for his career. And there's no better time. We know how it goes, man. What can happen will happen. And right about now is usually when some stupid shit happens. But hopefully, again, not to jinx.
Just ask Milwaukee.
Right. And sometimes the injuries can be freak, right? Like
in New York.
Steve makes fun of the Duncan Robinson thing or whatever, but like even when he got hurt, we had a game. It was a regular season game. Duncan Robinson was shooting crazy threes, broke the Heat franchise record for some kind of 3-point shooting, and did his post game interview. And the next game it was like, "Yo, Duncan Robinson out with a back," and we're like, "What the fuck happened to his back? He played the whole game." And then they was
carrying y'all niggas. That's
So and then he's basically been out since then until he came back in the playoffs or whatever. But whatever's wrong with Milwaukee,
Giannis, now Dame.
Yeah. And Indy was looking beatable, And now Halliburton decided he remembered how to play basketball. So it's going to be a long series for Milwaukee. They're projecting both of them to be out today. So I don't know if Milwaukee's getting back. I mean, unless, good old Thanatos can get up in there and make some shit happen.
And you look at Milwaukee, trading Drew Holiday, who was giving them like not just minutes, he was a guy for them. And
Veteran
you get rid of
present.
him, he goes to Boston, and he got a diminished role in Boston. But that's a guy you could have got scoring from, along with Middleton. Now that Dame
Middleton we
and Giannis
trust.
are down.
And
Chris
that
Middleton
defense.
about to drop 50 on these today. The New York Knickerbockers, Knicks tape. Yo, there's something to be said about the Knicks, Madison Square Garden, when they're in the playoffs. That's one thing you can't deny, VP. As much as you hate them, you can hate them all you want. It's the same thing that, I have to say about LeBron being in the playoffs, and that's why they made the play-in for him. But it's exciting. It's exciting to watch the Knicks play in the playoffs. And the media loves it like they love the Cowboys, like they love the Lakers. And it's so far it's been a pretty good series for you guys. Jalen Brunson, man. Shout out to Jalen Brunson.
Yeah,
Joel Embiid is a dirty son of a bitch.
Yeah, Embiid, that was
player.
But we knew that.
That was dirty.
He's been
I
dirty.
don't, I get what you're saying about Madison Square Garden, the media. Again, the media hype, with the Cowboys is actual hype, right? Because, it gets eyeballs to your tickets, et cetera, et cetera. With the Knicks, it's because all the media people are in New York, so they're biased, But, the Knicks, they're overrated. They'll win this round likely. And then
shout out to Tom Thibodeau, yo. Tom Thibodeau is a thug, yo. He thugged it out. He came out and was like, yo, they're gonna call it ticky tack when I send my tape in. And then the next game, they're gonna call 21 ticky tack fouls, and we're gonna see Embiid shoot 21 free throws. Like, what are we doing around here? He's a thug, yo. He thugged it out. I want that from the coach. I don't want that from the star player, the not GOAT, crying about the replay center. Like, I'm not here for that. But Tibbs, man, EJ, y'all got y'all one over there.
Yeah, I give him a lot of shit. I liked his response though. I like that he's more camera friendly this year than previously. And listen, man, again, I think we're gonna get one in Philly. If we get one in Philly, I think we'll close it out. But Embiid should have been ejected. Yeah, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, he does dirty shit, play after play. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. Like, and even though he didn't get ejected, like I thought that the league should have assessed a flagrant 2 after the game, and
they still
potentially thought about but they're not going to do it. We haven't even heard they're looking into it, so I don't think anything is going to happen.
They suspended Russ. I don't understand how they. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what I was getting ready to say. They should if it didn't happen in game, the league should have assessed a flagrant 2 afterwards, and then considered suspending him 1 game since he wasn't ejected.
They were supposedly looking into it, but
because there was a number of situations there. Like, I could see if it's one, like if there was just the one where he just pulled down Robinson, or maybe he just needs somebody in the balls, or maybe he just put his ass out instead of a bad pick at the end of the game, that could have led to injury. Like, all of that stuff together combined, though, as a league, you got to make good on that. Like, and that's one thing that I have to say. Adam Silver has struggled at. Like, he's quick to come out and be like, yeah, we missed the call, which I tell you guys all the time, I hate the shit. And he did it with the Knicks game. But he's not one to correct, it seems, to correct that type of behavior, except they did take, and Russell Westbrook he's a fucking firecracker. Like, I think you have to suspend Russell Westbrook for this next game, because if not, he's probably starting a fight. He has no self-control. He is absolutely unhinged. And it probably could turn bad.
Yo, he's unhinged. God. I mean, hey, I don't know if I would go so far
And
as
you
to
know I
say
fuck with Russ. You know I fuck
yeah.
with Russ.
I wouldn't say
But
unhinged. I would just say, Russ is on ready set all the time.
right,
He's
right.
waiting like he's ready to
He waiting for
go
the
at any
gun.
minute on the street, come out of restaurant,
Right. Even when he
at
wears a dress.
practice.
Like
Right.
he my man have a skirt on and be like, bitch. Yo,
Sideline,
Russell Wild
fucking,
boy. And it's crazy because I literally, this is the funny part. I literally was about to be like, yo, Russ is such a stand-up guy because after Luka came back from being hurt, right? He hits this shot and Russ hits him and then he gets up and he daps him up and on the way back down the court, he's like, yo, good shot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I literally was about to type Russ is a stand-up guy, and then he goes and does that wild ass shit and starts flagrantly fouling dudes. I'm like, this dude is bipolar, yo. Russell Westbrook is a wild boy, man. And then you see Kawhi over there, like, oh my god, what is this guy doing? This is not the identity we want, guys. It's
Right.
crazy. They wild, but the Clippers, I think, are out of here, yo. They don't look good. Dallas looks like they're poised to win that series. I do think I think the Knicks and Philly are gonna go 7. I think Philly wins today. Unfortunately, I think that goes 2-2. But and then
Question, Steve, on that. You say you think the Clippers are out of there. What's the bigger disappointment for y'all, Clippers or Phoenix?
I was just about to say that. And the bigger disappointment between the Clippers and Phoenix is the Lakers because they have who you call the GOAT. Nah, Phoenix, dog. It's not even a conversation to be had. I mean, Minnesota's a great team, man. That kid Anthony Edwards. Throughout the season, people are like, "Oh, that's Jordan's son," and we know that's bullshit. But oh, he's great, and I'm using him in daily fantasy, and he's slacking and shit. So I'm like, he not good. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not Devin Booker, but
Nope.
man, now
Devin
that I'm
Booker,
actually watching him play, oof,
Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley
wash him up,
Beal.
get him up out of there.
Mm, 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 mm.
They better not
That,
get swept.
that team don't deserve nice things.
Kevin, yeah, exactly. Kevin Durant's legacy is on the line.
Yeah.
On the
Been on the
line.
line.
It's crazy, man. You trade all those picks, all that talent. You go almost $60 million over the cap into the luxury tax to be the 6th seed and about to get swept out of the playoffs. That's insane, yo.
It's bad. I mean, and granted, EJ did mention the injury piece, which we knew was a thing, right? You take KD and Bradley Beal, who were both, regularly injured, and you put them with a Devin Booker, who has had his share of injuries in the past, and you just hope for health, right? And I could see that's why they end up in the 6th seed, just like Philly doesn't end up in the 7th seed if Embiid doesn't go down. But to come out here now and you're healthy and you're just getting run out the gym, like it's not even close. These games ain't even close. To Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, Michael Conley is their starting point guard. This guy is a journeyman. Big Cat, he's there, but it's not even him. You're not even hearing about him. Nobody's like,
Right.
yo, Karl Anthony Towns is carrying this team. And then Gobert, right? Like I don't get it, man. I'm not sure what's up with Phoenix. I could tell you one thing, Bradley Beal is overrated. Bradley Beal is what I told you guys Bosch was in Toronto until he got to Miami and he actually turned out to be a good player. But I'm thinking that Bradley Beal was just he benefited from volume in Washington. There was no other
A reverse
scorer.
Bosh.
Right. Yeah. There was no other scorer in Washington. And so he averaged 34 points a game. So people are like, yo, this guy. And fun fact, Bradley Beal is the only player in the NBA with a no trade clause. The only player of all the great players in the NBA, he is the one single player with a no trade clause.
Shout out to his agent, yeah.
Right.
Right.
And
figure.
a shout out to Pat Riley for dodging that bullet, because we were definitely trying to get him.
Yeah, he's super overrated. I mean, he got a lot of love for being on that Florida team that won the championship, but his
But
game
the
ain't never
Clippers should be
translated to
winning
me.
too, though. The Clippers should be able to, like you talking about, Luka. I asked y'all last week, is Luka Doncic the best player in the league? I asked y'all that last week, and Luka Doncic is looking like the best player in the league. I mean, Jokic is probably, two, but this league is being run by two European guys right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And aren't they both Serbian?
Sure.
I don't know what
I
Luka
know one
is.
of them is.
When I see Jokic, I see Drago. I think I've said that probably 55 times, but when I see Jokic, that is who I see. This dude, I don't get it. And here's the thing: you see how big he is. He be red and shit, but and he dad bod to the to the wall, but
Luka Slovenian.
never looks tired. Jokic always out there, looks like fucking him to get back up the court. And then when he get the ball in his hands, he doing all his shit. Yo, shout out to Jokic, man. That dude is
Jokic is
special.
Serbian and Luka is Slovenian.
My
Oh,
boy
so
Jamal Murray.
he's
He's Serbian
Canadian.
too?
He's
No.
he's serving. I don't know if he's Serbian, but he is serving. He he Canadian, man. He
My
putting off
boy,
a light
my boy Jamal Murray, he don't get it out of all them Kentucky guys. He don't get enough credit, man. All them Kentucky guys, he's one of them ones. People don't
between
realize that.
Jalen Brunson, Boncaro, Jamal Murray, Drake, and Chris Brown. It's gonna be a light skinned summer. Y'all could book it. Oh, and Jason Tatum, book it, man. It is a light. Oh, and Halliburton. Who y'all got? Anthony Edwards. Abort
About
shit.
Jalen Brown.
Oh yeah. You
That
just
was a
gotta
joke.
stand on the left side. You'll be all right. The Knicks. So today we got the Knicks at 1:00 playing Philly. The Clippers going into or staying in Dallas at 3:30. That series is 2-1. Milwaukee and Indy 2-1, and then Minnesota Phoenix. Y'all think Phoenix is out of here tonight? Think they get swept?
Yep.
Yeah. Issa Rap.
They might
They
win
got
one
they gotta sneak one out.
for no reason. They might win one like LA did for no reason.
I think they're done for the series, no question, but they gotta sneak one out, yo. If they don't win one, that is a horrible, horrible look. It's a horrible look for KD. But I think it's even more of a bad look for Book because remember last year and leading up to it, they've been giving him baby Mamba vibes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like where did that go? Where
And
has
they
that gone?
probably get blown up if they don't
I was
if
gonna
they get
say,
swept. Because
say,
remember,
yeah, they
Phoenix
gotta
got a
go.
new owner, and the new owner came in, never owned the team before. They convinced him to spend all this money, trade all this stuff. He might now he got a year in this belt. He might be like, yo, y'all got to get out of here. Y'all done catfish me.
Yeah, and I think contractually they gotta blow it up.
Yeah, that luxury cap now with the new CBA, they make it really punitive to be over the cap. So and they're already over. So they got stuff to do.
I'll take KD to the Magic.
I mean,
Or Book.
will you though?
Or Book. I'll take them because they're good. And the Magic are good and young, and that's what they're missing right now. I just told you, Markelle Fultz is our veteran. That's the guy that we're looking to, and Joe Ingles. That's the guy we're going to be looking to if we get past Cleveland and we get into a series with either the Knicks or Boston. Those are the two guys that we're going to have to look at to will us through in late game situations and stuff.
But the point I'm making, Steve, the reason I said what I said is that I feel like over the years, KD has kind of fooled us into thinking that he's better than he is, right? The dude is he's a superstar, right? Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But like I feel like he's made us think like he should be, I don't want to say like in the conversation, but like when you're making lists and you start getting to like who's in your top 5, your top 7, like he's kind of fooled us into thinking maybe you haven't said
He
KD yet, you know, and you're like, should I have? You know, like
It's like
because
Tupac.
it's come on, dog.
People only put Tupac in their top 5 because historically that's what people say you got to do. Like, oh, Biggie, Tupac. Like,
Yeah, Biggie and Tupac's the same deal.
nah, you crazy. You crazy. You absolutely crazy.
I'm just saying what people say.
You crazy. That ain't even close. But yes, I agree with you, VP, on the on the KD front. I don't know where he falls, maybe, man, and maybe we need to sit down and make a list, you know, for one of these pods, next pod or something, and just do like top 20 and see how many of these guys fall out that other people will be like, yeah, because I don't know. I can tell you right now, KD's not in my top 10, not based on everything that's happened recently. For all the shit that we fucking kill LeBron for. Like LeBron James again, and I, you know, as much as I talk shit about him and hate on him, I still give him his flowers where they belong, which is like somewhere in the top 3. This guy took over last night, 14 points in the fourth quarter. I want to say it was 14. Because he ain't want to get swept. Because, you know, to will his team in and keep them going. And they may, you know, obviously they still have a chance at the series. The likelihood is super low because the Denver team is just that good. But you know, he took over in the fourth quarter and did what needed to be done. And that's what we haven't seen from KD in a long time. Like we saw that with Golden State, but he was also a complement to 5 other guys and 3 which were all-stars. So LeBron is doing this with one other all-star at the moment, which is AD, and some complementary guys like Austin Reeves and stuff like that. Which is why they getting their asses whooped. But I haven't seen that from KD. And so for that, and if we're talking about in the league, shit. I don't know if he cracks top 10 in the league today.
Yeah. And while since you just touched on LeBron, let me just say something about this guy real quick. You guys know I love LeBron, you know.
Oh, I know. I know. You got him tattooed on you, don't you?
You know, and not just
King.
I've always liked him as a player since he's come into the league, and then of course I like him more because he helped my franchise, you know, win 2 championships. You know,
As you should.
but he has to stop this bullshit about they didn't have enough in 2011. Like we had enough. We made the finals. You make the finals. I mean, you got enough. We didn't win because of you. Like, stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like he got to stop saying that. You know, like I shoot this guy a lot of bill on this pod and chat. You know, he got to knock that shit off. Yo, it's not a good look. It is not a good look.
I think LeBron has some valid points in the way he's been treated this year with some of the fouls and stuff. It's just too animated, dude. And it's the wrong time and it's the wrong points. Like, don't tell me about replay. Don't tell me about replay. Don't tell me after you blew a 20-point lead that one foul on D'Lo was the difference maker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a close game and something happened, sure. But we talking about you guys blew a 20-point lead. You had a chance to put it out of reach and shoot. You had a wide open 3-pointer and missed a shot. Like, it's just the timing for this guy, you know. And I get it, man. I've been watching all year. I've actually been watching the Lakers play, and he has not gotten the calls that he's gotten in the past. But maybe that's the reality of it. Maybe those calls he was getting in the past should not have been calls. And, you know, league is catching up with it, and you got to adjust, man. You got to adjust. And I get it. 39 years old. 39 years old.
I don't even think the league is necessarily catching up. I think it's more of, you know, they say this on the broadcast all the time. We say it as fans. The NBA the referees will pretend it doesn't exist. But LeBron, his whole career, has gotten superstar calls, you know, and I think he's still a superstar. Don't get me wrong, but he's also almost 40, and so this like the league is kind of moving on, getting ready to put him out the pasture, and so he's not getting those calls no more. And like if you've been used to getting those calls all the time, like let me give you an example. This is I'm gonna give you an example here that's totally. I'm going to a different sport here. You'll catch my drift when I say it. So don't kill me out there. Don't cancel me. But it's kind of like Ike and Tina. Ike was beating Tina's ass all the time. He was just used to it.
Is that a sport?
And then they got in that limo, right? And then when Tina put some good back on him, he was like, "Whoa, what the fuck's going on here?" You know what I'm saying?
Is that a sport?
Apparently it is.
Music? You know what? I'm not even mad at you, yo. I got a shirt on under my V-neck that's named after Ike.
Is red?
Yeah, no, it's not red. Luka Doncic, man, watch for that kid. Watch for him, man. I think we're gonna see some special things the rest of this playoffs from him.
And you said something too, Steve, real quick. Like that's weird about these like Eastern Bloc, Eastern European players or whatever. Like when you said Luka with the dad bod. Like these dudes don't look like athletes. You know what I mean? like looking at Luka in Joker, it kind of reminds me of the first time, or not even just the first time, but why I continue to watch curling in the Winter Olympics. Because it's like I feel like I could do that. Right. You know what I mean? You don't got to be in no great shape. Like I can go out there and sweep ice. And like you see Luka playing. Like if I could still walk, I probably would feel good on the basketball court when you go play a pickup game. Like you said, Luka's doing what I can too.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. You're right. Those dudes, yeah, it seems like they just focus on conditioning more than anything.
Yeah.
They focus on stamina and they can go. Well, they're not worried about being chiseled and cut up because over there, ice blue eyes. What y'all been watching, man? Other than sports, basketball, football, what y'all been watching?
For me, man, my usuals, Survivor, Amazing Race, loving both. Series finale of Shogun, great finale. I will tell you, I know EJ says he's going to try to get back into it, and you plan to watch as well, Steve. Just because I know you guys, I know you're not going to like the finale because the show builds up to what's going to happen in the finale, and then they kind of subject your expectations. But I think it was still a strong finale, and also again, the show is based off of a book, so they ended the show the way that the book kind of ends it. And I'm trying not to give too much away, but I also think that part of what may have happened with the show is that I don't think FX expected the show to
blow up
the way that it did. And so like something that happens in the book that they don't do in the show, I think they probably cut it from the show for budgetary reasons. But because like I said, I didn't think that I didn't think they expected to blow up the way it did, but it was a great series. I loved it. I'm probably going to go back and watch it again now that I can binge all 10 episodes back to back to kind of catch those things I did, like something that happened in episode 7 that ties to episode 2 or something. You know what I mean? So, but I loved it, man. And then the other thing for me is I've been watching The Circle.
Don't ruin it.
Oh, you haven't watched it all?
I'm at I'm slow watching because they did that bullshit with 4 episodes and then switching to the next week. So I'm on 6 right now. I'm in the middle of 6.
Okay, so you're not too far behind. So yeah, so I've been watching that. I've been liking it so far. Some of the folks
What's your favorite character?
I like QT, and I also like
QT.
I also like Olivia. or the I think his name is Brandon, the
Sure.
catfish guy.
Yes.
I feel like he's trying to play a good game, but it's just like nobody's fucking with him. So
I don't like him. I mean I do. Let me take that back. I do like him. I don't know. It's something I don't like about him though. I think it's his voice. I just don't like his voice. That's probably it. If he just sounded like a normal person, like at least what we consider normal,
yeah.
I
Where
think
you
his
are in
his
the
voice just
circle,
annoys me.
have they introduced the newest characters?
Yes.
Okay, so Jay or whatever, Jordan or whatever his name is, him.
Yeah, Jordan
Okay,
and
I don't like him. I can't stand him.
oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen much of him yet. I've only seen his intro, the first conversation he had, and then I was watching six before we started this, and then I cut it off halfway through.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like him at all, yo. Like he is super arrogant, yo, and it's just like and I think it's
He
part
is
of I think it's because
'cause he lost
he
weight,
used to be a big guy and then lost all that weight, and so now I think like he's maybe feeling himself too much,
and
and
he's gay, right?
yeah, he is
Right. So
so
imagine
arrogant.
you go from being like that, and then being, he's in good shape. He's in good
Mhm.
shape. He's a clean cut guy. He looks good. Pause. No homo to the 10th power. But I could tell a guy that would pick up chicks. If he was a straight guy, he'd probably pick up chicks, which means he's probably picking up dudes too. Um, to go from probably living a life of not being attractive to now being maybe a highly sought upon person, you know, I could see where he got arrogant. But I agree with you. From the little bit I've seen, I could see it. He looks like he's that type of person.
Yeah,
Ego tripping.
There
yeah.
you go. Gang banging.
For me, I started Fallout on Amazon.
I heard it was
Um,
good.
I gotta put that on my list because I don't
it,
want to forget about it.
it's cool. I mean,
Oh, this nigga don't like nothing.
it ain't really capturing me. It ain't really
EJ don't like
capturing me.
nothing. He like, yo, I like The Sopranos and
Right.
I like Kanan. And that's it. All,
Uh,
nigga 30 something years old, like two shows. I was
Like
like,
everybody be like, "Yo, this show is so good. It's winning all these awards." EJ like, "Man, that shit was trash." And
right.
then
Unless it's
and then
about
you're
some
like,
hot ones.
"That's what I was just about to say." And then you're like, "Yo, man, this flaming Cheetos shit was trash." Yo, EJ like, "Man, that shit should have won an Oscar, dog. Like, what are we talking about here?"
Right. He only likes stuff about the hood. Hot Cheetos. If they came out with if they came out with a documentary about quarter waters, forget about it. He'd be
Oh
like
my god.
the little tugs. All right, hi dog. But I heard it was good. You didn't like Fallout?
um, I'm waiting to really. I mean, the first episode is kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know what's going on because I never played the game. But
Me neither.
it has a lot of shock value scenes, gore and shit like that. But we'll see. We'll see.
Mm. Anything else you've been watching?
BMF series.
Normal stuff.
Like I said, that's kind of falling off to me. And that's pretty much it.
Dog. I haven't finished it. But I started yesterday watching that Baby Reindeer. The one it's on Netflix,
Yeah,
and
I see it. It's in the top
it's
10.
been in the top 10 for like 3 weeks. Well, like 2 weeks. And usually if something lives there for a little bit, I started to be like, all right, people are starting to watch it. But then I also saw some people post about it on social media.
Oh,
So I'm
it's a
like, all right,
show.
people are starting to watch it. And I started it yesterday. They're short. They're 30-minute,
Yeah, I
30,
see it.
40-minute
30 minutes.
episodes.
Hmm.
And
I just put it
let
on
me
the
tell you
list.
something, yo. Watch that shit. EJ, watch that shit.
Baby
You are
deer.
gonna be dog. I was watching that shit. I couldn't close my mouth. Like my mouth dropped. When somebody says, yo, my mouth dropped, like I literally was sitting there with my mouth open. I was like, and I caught myself like, yo, close your mouth, yo. Cause dog, this shit is crazy. It has to do with a stalker. So I give you
Okay.
that.
I was
But
gonna say,
this is probably the most awkward, crazy, weird stalker shit that I've ever seen. And I've watched these shits. Like I watched Swim Fan. Remember Swim Fan when Shorty was doing this shit on the computer? Like that was my shit. I fucked with that. She was crazy and she was bad. But yo, yo, this show is crazy. Shit is crazy. I can't wait to get back to it. It's one of those. And I don't know how many episodes it has, but
mm,
it's pretty short. I think I got through 3 last night. And then I dozed off watching 4. So I got to get back to it, but
Yeah, I put it on the list.
it'll
I'll check
have
it
you
out.
like yo, what did she just say? Like what did she
Ho-
just say?
Hopefully, it has some staying power, or maybe it's going to be one of those things where it's just one season it's done. Because Netflix be canceling shows. You get into it, and it's like, yeah, the show's not coming back.
It says it's based on a true story,
oh
So
wow.
yeah, so it might be like a one season, like a mini series.
Oh
which makes it
wow.
even crazier, dog. It's yo, it's, this
Oh wow.
show's crazy, man. It's crazy. And the main character, the guy, obviously they're based in England, I want to say it is. Um he does a
Oh
really
shit,
good job, man.
he just lost EJ. He don't like English actors.
That's true. Well, he doesn't like English
English
actors that
actors
are
playing
Americans.
American
Yeah.
when they playing American people.
But if they're stalkers, they're probably playing. Never mind.
It's totally fine. Totally fine.
It's a
Totally
good
fine.
one. It's a good one. Obviously, Circle I've been watching too. I'm gonna finish catching up on that probably by the end of the weekend. And that's really it. I started something else the other day that I couldn't get into. I wanted to check Fallout out because somebody at my job told me that it was good. So I will probably pick that up. That's what it was. I started Kane and EJ, and again I was back in that mode of damn man. It just didn't make me want to. You know what it is? I probably gotta be drunk. That's usually how I start hood shit.
Yeah, you
Like,
gotta watch it. It gets to me. It's the better of the power shows, and I mean, Ghost is the last one. This is the last season coming up, and you got Tommy and Force, and then they're gonna do a prequel to Power.
yo, did you know Netflix has games now?
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
not know.
Hmm.
they about to go. Netflix ain't playing. Oh, I told you guys about that one. Anyone but you. That's the one with Sydney Sweeney with them things.
Mm.
If nothing
That's a
else,
show or a movie?
it's a movie.
That's on Netflix as well.
Yes. If
Okay,
nothing else,
got to look.
you're gonna at least enjoy the view. I'll tell you that. Um, but that's about it, man. That's all I've been watching. And obviously keeping up with basketball. What else we got on the docket? Donald Trump is in court, right?
Yeah, in court for the hush money case, for paying off the porn star.
Where are we?
Um, about a weekend. They've had one full week of trial. They've gone through the first, I want to say, two, maybe three witnesses. I think the third witness that was on the stand, I think he's going to go back on the stand on Monday. Um, so we'll see. It's mostly the defense hasn't had a chance to put their case on yet, but you know, the so far the prosecution is saying, like, this is what he did, this was illegal, yada yada yada, and then Trump's side is essentially arguing this stuff happens all the time. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's
As
their
if,
defense.
yeah, like as if that makes it like, yeah, I mean, yeah, this, illegal stuff happens. So what are we? I mean, why are we here? Like,
Damn. Is
so
it illegal to pay hush money?
it's not that he paid hush money. The what happened in this case is that they they paid Stormy Daniels, the porn star, $130,000 to remain silent about her relationship with Donald Trump. The way they did it is Michael Cohen paid her $130,000 that he took through a home equity line of credit off his apartment in Trump Tower.
HELOC.
Then Trump reimbursed him
Seems like
the
a good
money.
use of a HELOC for me.
Trump Trump reimbursed him the money, but he didn't pay him back $130,000. He paid him back $420,000, and then wrote it off as like legal fees on his business records. And the reason they did that was that, one, they were paying him back the 130 grand, but also because they paid it out through the company, he was going to be taxed on it. So they bumped it up to help him cover the taxes, as well as put a bonus in there for taking care of the situation. You know what I mean? And then filed it under the business records as legal services. And that's essentially filing false business records under New York law, as well as violating campaign finance laws, because this money was really paid so that way something negative wouldn't come out about the campaign, which is looked at as being an in-kind campaign contribution. And you're not allowed to make campaign contributions over $2,300, and this was well over that, since it was $130,000.
Did they find that it was on his taxes anywhere? Because I
No,
think that's
that's the thing that's crazy, right? Because they're bringing this up in court, because Trump's argument is that I could have took a deduction for this because you can deduct legal fees from your tax return, and I didn't do it. And people are like, yeah, and that's what makes it look more suspect, because his son was in the Boy Scouts. His youngest son, Barron, was in the Boy Scouts, and the $5 Boy Scout dues, he deducted that from his taxes, but he didn't deduct the 130 grand. Like, people were like, that looks shady as fuck. It looks like you didn't deduct it because you knew this shit was kind of squirmy or whatever,
Good
So
old American way.
what do you think is gonna you think it's gonna stick? And even if he like, what does this carry? Like, what kind of penalty does something like this carry?
For the most part, it'll just be, I don't think it can carry jail time. I don't think it will. Right.
Mm.
Um, but I think what they think is that this will show, the American people that, this guy's a crook, can't trust them, and that kind of thing like that. I don't think it'll hurt him in terms of like jail time. He might not be able to do business. I mean, that was a different case, but that might hurt him doing business, or you would think it would hurt him doing business anywhere if people know this guy's a fraud. But that doesn't seem to be the case. But it's in terms of like jail time or anything like that, I don't think it happens. It could, but I just don't think it does.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I'm concerned with. Like, is there value in this? Is the juice worth the squeeze when we're talking about all these cases and all this this court time that they're dedicating to these Trump cases?
Well, I would say that the other cases definitely have some serious consequences that could definitely, or probably will be prison time if he were to be found guilty of those. The issue is that they have been delayed. Like, nobody thought the Georgia case was going to happen anytime soon, because it's a RICO case and you have 19 co-defendants. Some of them have already taken plea deals, so I think we're down to like 14 or 15 co-defendants now, because some of them have pled guilty already. But nobody thought that case would happen in 2024. We're looking at sometime in 2025, maybe even 2026, before that case actually goes to trial. But the two federal cases, the one in Florida for the classified documents, is a very serious case. And then the DC January 6th case is also a very serious case. But in Florida, Trump has got a good judge, one that he appointed, and one that basically has taken up the arguments that he makes in that case and has helped him delay it, insane amount of delay in that case. And then in DC, he has a judge that's not fucking around, but Trump has weaponized the legal system against itself, and he's been able to delay that case by filing all these BS appeals. And then you have the courts that are taking up these appeals that are complete bullshit, but taking them very seriously. And then this week, Trump was in front of the Supreme Court arguing on this presidential immunity stuff. And court watchers will tell you that you shouldn't say you think you know how a case is going to come out based on the questioning, because sometimes the judges are just playing devil's advocate when they're questioning. But based on what I heard on the questions, Trump is going to win this argument. I don't think they're going to say that he is immune. I think what they're going to do is something that's called a remand. And so basically what will happen if they do a remand is that the Supreme Court will say, we find that there is some type of presidential immunity for official acts of the president. We're going to create this test that says this is how a lower court determines if something was an official act. And then they remand it, means they kick it back down to the lower court to say, now we need you to look at this whole indictment and run the indictment against this test that we've created to see if the things that he is charged with were official acts. The judge will then make that decision, and then it starts this whole appeals process over again, going from the lower court to the appeals court and then back up to the Supreme Court, which could take another year. And so Trump wins because he gets the delay, because he doesn't want this thing to go to trial before the election.
Got you.
So even though the case doesn't go away, he still gets the delay. And then the hope is that he wins in November. And then while we're going through the court process, once he gets sworn in, he has his Department of Justice drop the charges. And then this thing just never goes to court. And then the only thing that's out there at this point is the Georgia case, if that scenario were to play out.
What if the cases are still there and going at election time?
So
does that impact anything? Like how
the courts aren't supposed to factor that in, but given that this is a person who is a candidate for president, it's not like he's a fringe candidate. He's, the Republican, it's either going to be a Republican or a Democrat, and he's the Republican nominee. I have to imagine that the courts will put some kind of pause on things. They're not supposed to. There's nothing legally that says they have to, but I have to imagine they will.
Does it have any impact on the election?
I think it does, because you hear people in polling say, and I don't trust polls, don't get me wrong, but you hear people in polling who say, I could vote for Trump, but if he's convicted, I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I can vote for somebody with a criminal record or something. Again, we saw people who said, I don't think I can vote for somebody who said grab him by the pussy, but they still did. So I don't really trust that tape, but you have people who seem to say those kinds of things, whether or not they actually are being truthful. That remains to be seen. But I think, him being a convicted felon, could have impact on folks potentially, but we don't know.
Is there anything about convicted felons serving office?
No. The Constitution says to be president, you have to be you have to be a citizen by birth. Right. You have to be at least 35 years old. And that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
35 and a citizen by birth.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's it. So, it doesn't put any kind of qualifications on experience. You need to have been a governor or a senator or a mayor, run a business. You need to, at least have some real life experience. And I like the 35 thing. I know people have always poo-pooed that, but you have to remember the Constitution was written almost 250 years ago, back when old age was considered like 50. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, so a 35-year-old person was seen as somebody with some real life experience, But in today's day and age where people, Joe Biden's 81, having a guy who's 35 years old who potentially could be president. Remember when Pete Buttigieg ran against Biden in 2020, he was 37. So, I just don't think I get it that you could be ahead of your time. You could be some kind of, a savant and just be this incredibly, smart person who, maybe you served in the military and you've held elective office and all these kind of things, by the time you reach 35. But I don't know. And I get it. Like, a lot of people don't like old. Like, that's one of the biggest knocks on Biden. He's old. Some people say that about Trump. You got two old guys, two baby boomers, basically, you know, and people don't like that. But there's something to be said
But
about actual experience to
experience,
be
yeah.
a president, you know.
And I think that's a new thing. Like that's a narrative that's been spun.
Hmm.
I think is the age thing today for president. Is there some excessive age in the Senate and stuff like that? Absolutely. But when you're talking about the president, I think again, it's not, at least with Biden, when we're hearing this narrative spin, it's not just his age. I think it's his successor. You know,
Yeah.
it's his age is a concern because of who his successor is. Because if Trump wins, no one's going to be worried about his age. And
Right. And he's
actually,
the
the
same.
people
They're
that
the
are
same age.
worried, right, and the
I mean,
people that are
Trump's not
worried
age.
about
Trump's
Biden's age,
78, but still, you don't hear
yeah,
anybody complain
it's
about
close
Trump's
enough,
age, even though they're pretty much the same age.
right? And physically, you can see that Biden. I mean, he don't move as good, but you
Yeah.
could tell that he's probably in better shape than Trump. At least on his his blood work.
Yeah.
Trump, Trump is a wild boy, yo.
Yeah.
He be eating some crazy shit. My man is a McDonald's guru. Um, yeah, I'm interested in seeing how this all plays out for him because dog, it's Constitution. Like, when does that get changed? Like, can somebody amend something? We're in a
It's.
whole other.
I think we're past that, man. I mean, we haven't had a constitutional amendment since like the 60s or the 70s or something like that. It's just too hard now. The country's just too divided. I just
Mm,
don't see it happening. Because I mean, to pass a constitutional amendment, you're gonna need Congress to pass something, and then after Congress passes it, it has to be ratified by 2/3 of the states. So you need, I think the number is 37 of the states to say yes to it. And I mean, so you're gonna need red states and blue states, and you can't get them to agree on anything, you know. So
but I think the
um
amendment should be like, if you're a convicted felon, you can't be the president of the United States. Like, I don't see how that is something that anyone could be conflicted on. That is a big, even if they put verbiage in there about specific crimes, maybe
yeah,
maybe you don't include like money laundering stuff, which is probably really important still, but maybe
yeah,
you don't include that. But the fact that you could have a violent crime under your belt and still you know win an election being possible is just absolutely crazy to me.
yeah. And the
you know
problem is that I say this to people all the time whenever I talk politics with folks, is the founders thought everybody was like them, or everybody would be like them. That they're just honorable people who are gonna do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, right? And you look at, two people. I'll say, for example, one, George Washington, right? George Washington at the time and still now is the most popular American in the history of this country, right? He still
Mhm.
lives to this day. Um, and people told him, he could be president forever. That's why they have that line. And I don't know if you saw Hamilton, when Washington tells Hamilton that Thomas Jefferson is running for president, and Hamilton says, "Yeah, good luck beating you," and he's like, "I'm not
Mhm.
running anymore," and he's like, "Wait, what?" Because Washington was just so, and maybe we end up hating our politicians at some point. Maybe he would have lost popularity at some point. But the point I'm making is that Washington serves 2 terms and then he goes away. You know, he's like, let the next person come in, and that's how we're going to do as a country. People will come in and change and shape the country or whatever, as it grows. And he goes away. And then after Washington, is why every president only serves 2 terms. You have some that don't get reelected, so they just serve 1 term. But the ones who do get reelected after their second term, they go away. And it's not until the 30s where we get FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who says, "There's nothing in the law that says I got to serve 2 terms. So I'm running for a third term," and he wins. And then after his third term, he said, "I'm running for a fourth term," and then he wins. And then he dies like 6 months into his fourth term. And that's when the Congress is like, "Holy shit. Like, we've had presidents die in office because like assassination or sick, but not
Right.
because they wouldn't stop running. And
Yeah.
so they end up passing the I want to say it's the 21st Amendment, I believe it is, that basically sets the term limits to 2 terms for 8 years or whatever.
8 years
You
is
know,
still a long time.
yeah, but I mean, you know, I'm fine with it. But then, you know, the other example I'll give you is a guy like Hamilton, you know, who has that affair with Mariah, whatever her fucking name was. And he comes out and just tells me, hey, I did this, you know, and then he resigns and kind of goes away, you know. And through time, we've seen people who say, I did something bad, or even something that it may be morally bad, but it's not illegal. And so I'm gonna go away because I don't have the moral support among the people to still lead them. And we've seen politicians on both sides do that. And then in the Trump era, it's become having moral baggage shouldn't be a reason that you can't serve.
Hmm.
So, you know, if you cheated on your wife, if you mess with porn stars or whatever, that's fine. If you're Matt Gaetz and you've been credibly accused of child sex trafficking, Matt Gaetz is a congressman from Florida, from the Panhandle area. You've been credibly accused, as well as investigated by the FBI, of child sex trafficking, and nobody in his party has even called on him to resign.
Hmm.
So I said all that to basically say I think that we're at a point to where the partisanship is so high that we couldn't do something like to your point of pass a constitutional amendment that says if you're convicted of crimes, you can't serve. I mean, if you think about this, the third amendment of the Constitution basically essentially outlaws treason, right?
Right. Hmm.
So the penalty for treason can be death. But let's say somebody were to commit treason and not get the death penalty, serve some prison time and get out. This person theoretically could
He
run for
could run
president.
for president.
And and
That's,
and and just to take a step back from treason, to not take it that far, you have Trump, who literally was trying to overthrow the government, who is running for election and is running neck and neck with Biden.
yeah.
That just kind of tells you what you need to know about where we are as a country.
Yeah, it's much closer than I expected. At least, I mean, and again, we're still that's basing it on what you see in the news and stuff like that. But and we've seen this before. You just never know what the truth is. You never know what people are really thinking. You never know, how many people are gonna go out there and actually try and make a difference. Which way, no matter which way, whether it's for Trump, whether it's for Biden, it's interesting, man, and this is gonna, this is gonna be a very important election.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is gonna be a very important
The,
election,
the, and
dog.
the thing that scares me about this election, like it's not just the Trump of it, right? And that's a big part of it. But because people don't pay attention to politics, at a really granular level, it's just that you got Republicans and Democrats, you got Biden, you got Trump, and everybody is after that they don't really know anything, right?
Right.
Is that you know part of the reason that the Trump administration, even though it was bad, it was very bad, but part of the reason that it wasn't worse was that Trump didn't understand how the government works, and he still doesn't understand how it works for the most part. But when he came in the first time, he kind of outsourced the staffing of the government, the people who the president are allowed to appoint.
Hmm.
And so you had people at the RNC, the Republican National Committee, who were recommending, hey, you could put this person in at, the Defense Department, and this person, at HHS and, CDC, etc. And then as you start getting into the later years, you start getting these real clowns in some of these positions. But it was towards the end, and then he ends up getting voted out. So it didn't make it didn't make that huge of a difference. I would
Yeah.
argue it did, but on the long scale, we were able to fix some of these problems, right? But now what they've done is they have this thing that they're calling Project 2025, or some people just call it Project 25, where they're coming in from day one with like a list. These are the people that we want. This is where we're putting them. We're putting them here. We're putting them there. And some of Trump's worst impulses were checked because there were people who, although they were Republicans, they were still institutionalists. And so Trump would say, we need to do some crazy shit. And then, yeah, we'll look into that, and then nobody ever gets back to him, you know. I want to fire all the people and make Sidney Powell, the crazy lawyer who got indicted with him in Georgia over the election thing. I'm going to make her special counsel to seize all the voting machines to for the election bullshit that they were trying to run. And the lawyers in the DOJ said, yeah, if you do that, we're all going to resign. No, we're not doing that. And then she's literally quoted in the January 6th when she testified on the oath saying, Trump turned to her and said, you see what happens here? Nobody, like basically, I'm the president. I'm telling them to do something. They're saying no. He kind of like, you see what I got to deal with? Like kind of like you do with your kids. You see what I got to deal with? This time, that kind of shit is not going to happen because they're not going to put the people in who's going to say no. They're putting in true believers who he don't really even got to tell them to do it because they already want to do it. You know what I mean? And then because the president has the pardon power is unchecked, it's unreviewable. These people could do illegal shit. And then if you have somebody who says these people got to face charges, you just give them a pardon. And then who's going to do what? So it's the shit is scary, man. It's scary.
Yeah, your boy Trump, he be trying to run the country like his business. That's what it is. So he's like, man, I'm the boss. That's ultimately how he approaches it. When he says,
absolutely.
I'm telling them to do something, they're not doing it. Fire him. Get him out of here. Like, dog, that's not how it works.
So
I hate to be the one to break it to you.
And while we're still on this real quick, Biden was at the they had the correspondence dinner last night, the White House correspondence dinner, which I like to watch it, like when they have the comedians and stuff, but this is something that has always disgusted me, like about politics. And I think people don't really probably even know about the correspondence dinner for the most part, but it's one of these things that people hate about politics is because everybody thinks that everybody's in on it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why you have people who say, yeah, that shit don't matter. They're going to do whatever they want to do, blah, blah, blah. People don't pay attention. And so the correspondence dinner, they have this thing where they're celebrating journalism or whatever, and they invite the president, the vice president. The president gets up and does like a roast, makes fun of himself, whatever, people in the room. And then they have a real comedian come on and tell some jokes or whatever. But like, it's not just it's the president there, all these celebrities, people from the cabinet, members of Congress, the media, and they're all just kind of palling around. Like, these are supposed to be the people who are supposed to be checking the president, who's supposed to be telling us, like, the truth of what's happening and informing us and stuff. And they're piling around with the people. It's almost like the criticism that I lay at ESPN all the time of saying like how they're too close to the athletes. It's the same shit. And I think they need to stop. I don't have a problem with them having the correspondence dinner. They need to get the politicians out of it. I don't think it's a good look for their industry. As far in last night, one of the jokes that was made was about how a large majority of people say they get their news from social media, and then they make some kind of do a punchline on that or whatever. I can't remember what the exact joke was, and they all kind of just chuckled or whatever. And I'm like, it's shit like this is the reason why people don't trust you.
I saw Biden. I put it in the chat. I saw him roasting Trump up real quick.
Yeah.
I wonder who wrote those for him.
They always bring in a writer. One thing I thought was good last night. I didn't think Biden was that. He had a couple of lines that were funny, but for the most part, I didn't think he was good. But
he delivered it good.
He kept it short. Normally they go a lot longer. He only spoke for about 9 minutes, and usually they do like some jokes, and at the end they turn serious and like talk about like how important journalism is. And you got journalists who are in prison in places like Russia and struggling in Saudi Arabia, like places like that are more authoritarian, and why it's important for journalists to do what they do and hold the powerful accountable, blah 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 blah, that kind of shit, right? But typically they'll do like 10 minutes of jokes, and then they'll do that last like 3-4 minutes of being serious about journalists, whereas Biden did about 4-5 minutes of jokes and then turned serious and then turned it over to the actual comedian, which I thought was good, because Biden doesn't perform well like that because he speaks too dryly. It doesn't come off well. And anything could happen with him, where he has like a bomb on the teleprompter or something. Like I don't know if you saw the other day. I thought you would have loved this if you'd have saw it. I should have posted in the chat. I know you would have fucking loved it. Biden was reading a speech, and in the speech, it said pause, but it's like a note to him to
No,
pause for like the applause.
no, 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 he didn't.
So he was like, I can't remember what the speech was on, but I'll just make it up. And he was like, under my administration, we've increased American manufacturing by 47%. Pause.
Yo,
Oh
you
my
know, I'm
God,
surprised
yeah.
I didn't see it because they be killing Biden on
Yeah,
social
it was.
media.
I saw it. That's how I saw it because it was trending on Twitter. So
And you were like, "Let me go check this shit out."
yeah. At first I thought it was fake, and then I saw I was like, oh my God, like this. And I'm pretty sure that kind of shit happens to politicians at all. But when you're 80 years old, you can't be making mistakes like that because it's gonna just make people. You see now.
Yeah.
Like that was one of like your boy from SNL was the comedian Colin Jost.
Yeah,
He was not funny. I think he definitely benefits from doing the back and forth with Che because he was
yeah.
not funny last night to me.
He was there
I didn't.
last night.
Yeah, he was the comedian.
Maybe he was nervous.
It could have been, but I didn't think he was that funny. But damn, I forgot the point I was getting ready to make when I brought him up or whatever. But yeah. Oh, he said his joke was he was like Trump needs to pick a lane. He was like because he says Biden is an old, decrepit, senile man who can't get nothing done, and he's also a criminal mastermind who's organizing him being in four court cases to keep him off the campaign trail. He's like, which is it, So, but like I'm saying it bad. He did it like in a joke. I still didn't think it was that funny, but he's making the point. But yeah, it was you can't be doing that. Down 47%, blah blah blah. Pause.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, I gotta see that. Make sure you put that in the chat because I need a
The
good
pause
laugh.
thing you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up and post it.
Well, we'll keep following this Trump trial and see where it goes. It's crazy to me that the judge doesn't do court on Wednesdays. I know why you said it was happening. It's just still bonkers to me. And then they're
Yeah.
like, I got paperwork to do. All right, dog. I don't know who you think you got golf to play, strippers to go see, like, checks to pick up. But whatever. It is what it is. Let's see. Basketball, football.
And real quick, Steve, on that, I think the reason why the right is killing Biden over that pause thing, I think the reason that you don't see like a lot of Dems go crazy, like it may seem like, oh, we're just shooting bail for Biden, and that might be part of it, right? But I think like Biden this dude is a gaffe machine. Even when he was young, like I mean, here's one. I don't know if you ever seen or heard this before. This is when Biden was vice president, like when he was still like in his 60s, and they were having this event at the White House or whatever, and he was like, I'll just use myself for example. I can't think of the guy's name. He was like, and we got so and so here, Steve's here, EJ's here, and we also got Tavares here. He's been doing a hell of a job on da 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 da. Tavares, stand up, buddy. Let him see you. Give him a round of applause. And I'm in a wheelchair.
Okay. Yeah.
People are like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Biden. He looked like the type that would say some shit like that. Goof.
Or he'll shout somebody out or whatever, and he'd be like, Steve, this guy is you could tell he was raised right. God love him, and I'm pretty sure Steve, your dad is proud of you. Where's dad at?
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
He just does shit like that all the time. so I think that's why people don't go crazy when it happens, just because it's like, yeah, I mean, that's Biden.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have any ill intention. He just a goof.
Yeah.
Just a goof. Shit happens. But let's see. Nvidia's pumping.
Love it. Yo, you know what I found out yesterday? This Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of Nvidia, and Lisa Su, who's the CEO of AMD, which is one of Nvidia's like chief rival, they're cousins.
Shocker.
Now it was in an article that talked about like how Lisa Su became a billionaire or whatever because of all her AMD stock that she has as being CEO Oh, same thing
Right.
with him. And one of my friends in this investment group of men was like, man, I bet those Christmas parties crazy for that family.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I've been watching a lot. I've been watching a lot. I just wish I had one more on a video.
Yeah.
Such a
I
bozo.
definitely wish I had got more, man, when I was
I
first.
wish I did with Nvidia what I did with Tesla.
Hmm.
Because I'm up more on Nvidia. But whatever. I think that's it. I think that's all I got. What you got?
No, I didn't have anything else.
Let me check.
I saw you remember Hoops from I think she was on Flavor of Love. I
Oh,
think that's
yes,
what
yes,
show she was
yes.
on.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her this, not I didn't see her, but her name came.
Like, damn, dog.
I was watching Speak, and they had Acho, Shady, and James Jones was talking about, like, what it's like when you get drafted. They were saying, like, kind of giving their own experience to kind of give us a flavor of what the players are going through. And when they talked to Shady was like, man, it was crazy, man. Like, that week we was partying. I was with my family. Da da da. He was like, so the night before, man, like, the whole question is, like, how was the draft? But he's going, like, through the week, and the night
Of
before they
course
had
he
this
is.
party, and he was like, yo, man, you remember that girl from that show, one of them VH1 shows, Hoops? Yo, she was there, and man, let me tell you. And then Acho was like, all right, so Shady. So how he had to, like, yo, man, we on TV, dog. You can't be
Right. Slow down. Shady McCoy is a doof.
Yeah.
He just be saying some wild stuff.
Yeah.
I think
So,
he thinks, like, I think he watches other people do it and doesn't realize that those people are, like, on podcasts and they're not on major networks. I don't think he
right.
realizes where he is right now.
They're on
Like, you
iHeartRadio.
can't
They're
get
not
that
on
off. Yeah.
Fox TV.
Yeah,
Like,
you
that's kind of
can't get
like
that off.
I saw you ever watch 85 South podcast?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, the first time I watched them, they had that dude Wall Street Trapper on, the guy who talks about investments and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were, like, going through some of his background and stuff, and he was like, yeah, he had got locked up for attempted murder. He's a sell dope and stuff before he ever got into stock or whatever. That's how he learned stock, was from a guy in jail. And but he was like, yeah, man, so I was locked up for attempted murder from, I think he said, like, 98 to whatever year. And he was like, oh man, you was locked up in the early 2000s. He was like, yeah. He was like, oh man. He's like, nigga, you know how much shit you missed? Like, man, we was wearing long tees. We was doing that. We was nutting in bitches, dog. Oh my god. And it, like to your point, when you watch Shady, it feels like he thinks he's on a platform like that, where he's like, yo,
Yeah.
man, before the draft, oh my, we was having parties, man. I nutted in like
Exactly.
3 bitches, blah blah blah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I think if they didn't censor that dude, he would incriminate himself.
Yeah.
He'd be incriminated. He's a fool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I got. I thought EJ would be going over X-Men for you. You guys could go over that, but I didn't.
I have been watching that, but yeah, I've been loving it.
Because I haven't watched it.
I've been loving it.
I told y'all it felt too anime-ish to me than it did, American animation cartoon. Like, I feel like I remember it, but
Yeah,
I'm still gonna watch it. I gotta put my mind in the zone to watch it like that. But
what I will say though is, I'm loving it, but you like, I can see why EJ's loving, because he always talks about sticking to the comics and stuff. And
yeah,
like this past episode, it felt like inside baseball a little bit, where I didn't really know what was, like, some of the characters that they introduced. I didn't know who the fuck these people were. I don't remember them from the original. Yeah, I never read the comics. I don't remember them from any of the movies or anything. So EJ probably watching it was like, "Oh my god, it's Bob!" And
right.
whatever the guy's
Yeah,
name is. And I'm
complete
just
nerded
watching,
out.
like, yeah, I'm just like, who the fuck is this? It's kind of like when you watch how back when with the MCU, we all stayed up the credits and they would show that end credit scene, and you would hear people always like,
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, like,
and you're like,
on YouTube, and who was
that?
that?
Are you listening to see if somebody says? Like,
Right.
I remember when they first showed Thanos, I'm like, the fuck, y'all tell me who that was. Was it Thanos or was it what was his little crew called?
Oh,
The Black
they
Order.
call them the Black something.
Black Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's who it was that had me like, who is that?
You're right.
What
Like
am I looking at?
I remember after Infinity War when Samuel Jackson goes on the pager and he sends that message to Captain Marvel,
Captain Marvel.
and they just showed the screen, his pager screen, and I saw people like, oh my god, and I'm just like, what happened? Like I don't.
Yeah. Like, dog, y'all all right?
Yeah. So like we leave the car, we would leave the theater and go in the car, and I would pull up like a YouTube video and watch somebody like give a breakdown of like with the end credit scene, because I'm like, I don't know what the hell just happened, because I never read the comics or nothing.
I usually just Google it.
Yeah.
And end credit. All right. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but it's been good, X-Men. I've enjoyed it. So
yeah, I gotta watch it. I figured you guys would go into that a little bit, but maybe next week. Hopefully I'll get a chance to watch some of it, but we'll see. I don't have anything else. I am ready to start prepping for today's festivities. The 1:00 game will be about an hour short of that, so go prep out for that, and that's it, man. So if you'll get us up out of here.
All right, everybody. We definitely appreciate you guys for checking in with us for this week's episode of the Cashworthy Podcast. For the folks who listen live, we definitely appreciate you taking time out of your Sunday morning to rock with us. For the folks who listen once the episode posts, we appreciate that time as well. Like we always say, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to your people, let them know you're thinking about them. They'll appreciate it. You'll feel good about it. You never know what's going on with anybody inside anybody's head, so definitely reach out to your folks. With that being said, you can find this podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You also can find us on any of our social media by searching @Castworthy. On Instagram, it's @Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. And with that said, man, we will see you guys on next week's episode of the Castworthy Podcast. Until then, we out. We love you. Peace.